I see.
It always does that.
Why is it doing that?
I don't know.
That is, we need
I
to.
gotta work on that. I gotta
I'm,
work on that.
I'm loving the background with all the pumpkins.
Yeah, well, it's a Halloween edition of Winthrop Votes live stream.
Halloween, Halloween edition. Oh, basically a week before the election. I know we're gonna do an abbreviated
Show tonight.
session tonight.
Yep.
I know we got Jim in the green room. We probably want to just jump into it. No.
Yeah. Let's bring him right in. No beating around the bush. Yeah. What's up, Jim Lettieri, Town Council
Hey
President?
guys,
Hi, Council
how
President.
you doing, both of you guys?
Happy
It's
Halloween.
Unopposed Council President.
Yes.
it is very nice, I must say. It is very nice. And I've said it a few times in the past couple of weeks. I'd like to think it's because of the great job I've done and the respect that I've earned and the amount of work I've put in. But I really think just nobody wants the goddamn job. It's
Not for 2,600
I
or
know.
5,000 or whatever the president gets.
This is as candid as Jim has ever been on this show. He's
Somebody's guard is down.
especially leading up to an election.
I know. I mean,
He's like, yeah, that's okay. Hey, listen, you earned it, buddy. I think
absolutely put in a lot of work and I
You
put in a lot
certainly
of
did.
effort, and I think the results are there. But I think it's just, people just don't want to do this. I don't know why. I mean, I understand the grief and the crap that you get, and social media, it plays a huge part of it because there's just no accountability there. But there are a lot of people that love this town and a lot of people that have been here for a long time that really appreciate all the great things that this town has to offer and want to be part of creating the future of it. And it's great. And, I enjoy being a part of that and look forward to next Tuesday night.
Yep.
I have a quick question, Jim. Since you mentioned social media, it just popped in my head. Strange connection, sort of. But one of the questions that we were to be prepared for the Teachers Association, I think it was that forum. I think the first question they had given us to be prepared for was something about what are the biggest struggles in getting things done on the council, getting things done. And my answer was going to be getting good people to run or more people to run. And my reason social media triggered that is, people get a lot of crap on social media too, but it's all of the negativity. But in terms of the dirty politics angle of it, where would you put more weight on the aftermath after you've won that scares people off when they get, when they're getting a lot of stuff during meetings and in emails, or do you think it's kind of what some people go through during elections where there's this just bad and unfair stuff being done?
Like people accosting you in the street, Todd?
Stuff like that, yeah.
Not to bring it up.
It takes a special person to go past that kind of stuff.
But you did a great job at handling yourself, my friend. So what do you think, Jim? Is it after you're elected BS or the leading up to getting elected BS?
No, I think it's the leading up to getting elected. And they say politics is like buying a boat, right? You have the two best days of buying the boat is the day you buy it and the day you sell it. And it's a lot like that. But especially in a small town like this, 1.6 square miles, 19,000 plus people, there's no 7 ways of separation in Winthrop. It's like 2 ways of separation. It's just so close knit. And the people are great, and they love to put you up top, but then they like to knock you down a peg.
You down. That's right.
But it's tough. And social media just does make it so easy to do that with just no accountability whatsoever. It's tough. It's tough to take. But you do what's best for the town. And
in the end,
I think it's important to have people that know the town because, everybody likes to think they're unique in some way, shape, or form, but Winthrop is unique in so many ways. And, one way in, one way out, the small community vibe, the small town surrounded by bigger cities. It's just unique in so many ways. So I think that familiarity of this town is huge. So see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Jim, what leading into next week, this will be our last live stream. And thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us your time. And I know firsthand you're a busy guy. You got a lot going on during the day, and in the evening, the last thing you want to be doing is this, but you came on and so what do you want to get out there? Is there anything before, not that you're running opposite, but it doesn't matter. You're still out there. That's the thing. That's what you're not just.
No, I think it's important that people get out and vote. We have, I think, about 13,000 and change registered voters. I'm looking at around 5. I'm hoping for 5,000. The last election in 21, there was a handful over 3,000. I think where we have the ballot question, especially the firehouse and a few big contested races, I'm hoping around 5,500 people. That would be fantastic. I think you're getting up in that 40% range, which is palatable, and you get a good representation from that. And, looking at the weather ahead, I don't know why I'm doing that, because they can't tell what the weather's going to do in an hour, but I'm looking at next Tuesday and it's showing a little bit of rain, a little fall cold weather, but I'm hoping that people will get out and vote, because it's just, it's important. Everybody can talk about it any way they want, but they got to go out and vote and be a part of it.
I think there are some important issues on this ballot too. I really do think this isn't just people running for office. There are decisions that the people can make. It's their decision.
Yeah, it's very important. And, just quickly, obviously, everybody knows the election's next Tuesday, November 7th. Polls are open 7 to 8. We only have 2 polling locations, right?
Yep.
So we have precinct 4, which will vote at Golden Drive.
Yeah.
And then precincts 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 will vote at the old middle school gymnasium. So that's, unique in a little bit. I think we did do that in 2021, but that's, a good thing. And the ballot is 2-sided, which I think is extremely important for people to realize, and just not go in there, because on the front page, there will be and I have a little sample here, right? So you're going to have
I got it in front of me. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to have all the contested races or uncontested races, and then you're going to have the debt exclusion question for the firehouse on the front. But then on the other side, you're going to have 4 ballot questions, which came out of the Ordinance Review Committee. Actually, there were probably 10 or 12 that came out of the Ordinance Review Committee, and then it goes to Rules and Ordinance Subcommittee of the council. Then it comes back to the council, and then each of those initiatives need to be voted on to see which ones get to the citizens. And there are 4 questions, and sometimes I take for granted looking at these questions, thinking that, they're on there for a reason, because there's been an issue or there's been talked about many times over the past several years. So there are 4 questions. I think it's important to go over them briefly, just to give people an idea as to, what they're looking at. So
yeah, absolutely. But before we get to that, I want to get to the debt exclusion question on the ballot, right? So I just want to do a quick breakdown. It says, shall the town of Winthrop be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay for the bonds issued in order to pay for the costs of acquiring property in the construction of a new fire station building to be located at 210 to 224 Winthrop Street, Winthrop, including the payment of costs related to studying, planning, designing the project, demolishing existing buildings, equipping and furnishing the building, making site improvements, and all other costs incidental and related thereto. Summary. The town council has determined that it is necessary to construct a new centrally located fire station in the town. The new station will replace the 2 existing stations that will be deactivated upon completion of construction. A yes vote will authorize the town to fund all the costs of building the fire station, anticipated not to exceed $40 million, by issuing bonds to pay for the costs of the project, and to temporarily exclude the amount of debt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2. This is what is called a debt exclusion. In other words, a debt exclusion is a means of funding a particular project with temporary increase in the case for 30 years in the levy limit. The debt is excluded from, that is exemption, the levy limitations of Proposition 2.5. A no vote will not authorize the town to exclude the debt from the levy and will be held to the limitations required by Proposition 2.5, in which case the town will not be able to build the fire station or will need to bring forward a new or the same ballot question seeking authorization to override 2.5 limit future. So it's pretty self-explanatory. I think the first paragraph is kind of convoluted for people that don't understand this kind of language, you know. So
which is why we do a summary, right? Because
yes,
bond counsel is very, very ultra specific on what you can and cannot say in the actual question.
Right.
We wanted to make sure, as we did with the middle high school, set a limit, which we did here, of $40 million. So we cannot go over by a dime of that $40 million. And I think we will be under it slightly. But yeah, it's pretty specific in the language for the debt exclusion question, and the summary gives us a little more flexibility to explain it out.
Yeah.
But basically, a yes vote, we build a fire station for the first time in 130 years at the said location.
Put it.
You know, a no vote, we don't build a firehouse. It's, you know, not being any other way, but it's just that's what it is. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. Yeah.
130 years. 130 years.
It's really amazing when you think about it. And that in and of itself, you know, just because something's old doesn't mean it's any good, right? In that time, we've built 3 high schools in this town. And, you know, the fact of the matter is it's not only old, it's needed. It's not even a question. You look at the videos, you go tour the stations. And I think, you know, 9 out of 10 people, I feel pretty safe in assuming that 9 out of 10 people agree we need a new fire station. The only question they have is the location. There is never going to be a perfect location.
Exactly.
This, I believe, is better than all, and for so many reasons. And you know, we're very specific as to why we picked the location. It's centrally located. It's close to the police station because we do want a phase 2 to this project, which would include a remodel of the police station, which then you will have a public safety building. You know, we think that that's incredibly important. The timing of this is we're trying to be cognizant of the people and the financial concerns that people have right now, and looking at a couple of debt exclusions that are coming off the tax rolls, which will eat up about 40% of the cost of this project. So the average household will go up roughly, if this goes through, not right away, probably not until fiscal 26 or 27, when the full debt is borrowed. The average house will go up about $457. And within a year of that, the net effect will actually only be about $280 or $290, because we have Miller Field coming off the rolls and we have the Arthur Cummings School coming off the rolls. So
it'll go backwards. It's not going to go forward. It's going to go backwards. It's going to lessen the cost.
Yes, with those two coming off.
Yeah. So it's a good thing to keep in mind. That's a very good point to keep in mind, people. That this is not going to be steady 400 and whatever dollars. It's it's going to drop.
Can I ask?
What's that talk?
Can I ask, Jim?
Yes.
How long? I forget how long ago we voted on the field, Miller Field, and were we expected to pay it off this quickly? Like
Miller Field was, you know, a little less. Well, technically not less than the Fort Bank School, which was paid off a year ago. Cost $11 million, cost us $5.5 million, right? The ATC school cost about 13 or 14 million, cost us about 6.5 or 7 million, because we had MSBA reimbursement of about 50%. Miller Field, the MSBA does not reimburse for athletic fields, right? So we did that as a separate vote, and we paid 9.9 million, of which we paid 9.9 million. So it's actually more expensive than the schools, but we borrowed it over a shorter period of time. So that will come off the tax rolls, I think, in 31, which is about 3 years after this fully comes on the tax rolls. But the cost of that, because it was done in a shorter period of time, is greater. So we paid a lot less interest. We saved a lot less interest, but the payments are more. So the 40% you're saving, 10% of it comes from the Arthur Cummings School, and 30% of it comes from the Miller Field School, the Miller Field project. So so that $457 increase will, feel like $280. Still an increase, but again, a lot less than a public safety building together, and a lot less than waiting any more time, because every year this goes up, it's at least 10%. Revere High School put out a project for a high school last year. Revere put out a project for a high school, and the cost of the project was $360 million. Nothing really happened. They did the same project this year, and now it's $490 million. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be that extreme, but they're telling us
it's going down.
No, nothing's going down.
Nothing's going down. All right, let's move on to these charter amendments. We're on Todd's schedule tonight, so hey, you're the candidate. You're the one in the race, buddy.
Thank you.
So question 1, should the abandonment language in section 21D be changed from missing more than half of the meetings over a 1-year period to either 1, and this is in regard to a town councilor, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
All right. So if a town councilor misses more than half of the meetings over a 1-year period, this is on the ballot for the people to decide. Either 1, 3 consecutive regularly scheduled meetings of the full council, or 2, by failing to appear 50% of the regularly scheduled meetings of the full council over a 3-month period. Yes vote would consider the council member as abandoning an office if missed 3 consecutive meetings over the first 3 months in lieu of the first year in office, or no vote would not change the language of the charter section. So quick breakdown of that, Todd. No, Jim. Jim, quick breakdown of that.
Well,
but you're on the chart. Yeah, you were.
Well,
so Todd, I just want to put out there to these people, Todd was part of this committee. He donated his time. He's active in these issues with Winthrop, as opposed to his guys running against him and does nothing. Anyways, Todd, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, should the council person do any of these 3 things: miss half of the meetings over a 1-year period, or 3 consecutive regularly scheduled meetings of the council, or by failing to appear to 50% of the regularly scheduled meetings of the full councils over a 3-month period, they are gone. Because we've had some issues in the past. I mean, so why? And it's pretty clear that if they're missing that many meetings, right? So for me, I mean, this one's a no-brainer. I'm not sure that that's what you wanted me to say, but that's the best I could break it down. We're trying to get more people. We want to get more people to run. We also want to get more people to be more invested in the council. And I'm sorry, Jim was going to say something. So
No, I think, the easiest thing, the way I try to explain this, is the way the charter was written, and what we're currently doing is, you can literally, a councilor cannot go to a meeting, the 2 meetings in January, the 2 meetings in February, March, April, May, and 1 meeting in June, and they could still be considered the councilor for the next, as long as they make the rest of the meetings. This will, and again, the language is a little convoluted to me. Basically, it's not either or; they both mean the same thing. So instead of going to 50% of the meetings in a year, to be considered to be abandoned. Now, there is obviously a clause that if there was a sickness or something like that, an injury, obviously it would be taken into consideration. But basically, I think a 3-month period. So in the course of 3 months, there are 6 regularly scheduled meetings. If you miss 3 of them, you're considered abandoning your position, which I think is a much more a much better standard to hold somebody to. I think there's just no accountability. If you could literally miss 6 months of meetings over the course of a calendar year, and still be considered a counselor, You're not representing the
Yeah.
citizens' best interest in that. There's no way you are. So I think this is, it's just tightening up the rope a little bit, not giving as much latitude to people to just be, lax in their duties. I mean, you're elected by the citizens to protect them, and you can't do that if you're not there.
That's right. All right, question 2. Should the charter be amended to add a provision that will allow for the recall? This was a kind of a hotly contested issue that will allow for the recall of an elected official through a citizen's initiative. A yes vote would amend the charter and allow the citizens to participate with a petition requesting this person be removed from office with substantial reasoning. Those are the key words there. Substantial reasoning. Or a no vote would not affect the charter and would currently contains no provision for a recall. So somebody does something, the people think it's outlandish and it's over the top, they can petition to have that person removed. Correct?
Yeah, and I think this is, again, you're not going to recall somebody because they're wearing a green shirt every meeting or something like that, or you don't like the color of their socks. I mean, this is
really good reason.
This is an egregious offense, and it's going to not just be one person that writes a letter and the person's recalled. It has to have a threshold for the percentage of signatures it gets. And I think this is something that people want out there. Again, it's just accountability.
Accountability, yes.
You just want to hold people accountable. You don't want it. You're going to disagree with people. I mean, people disagree with me all the time. We disagree, but we agree to disagree and we move on. But you can't have something egregious, saying something just terrible or doing a terrible offense or being accused of a felony or something or convicted of a felony. You want to have some sort of, again, protection for the office and protection for the citizens. And they should be a part of this.
I have a question because I was only part of the crew that sent the proposals to you guys, but the words substantial reasoning were not part of what I put forward. So who is the arbiter that decides substantial reasoning?
Well, I think there's more, again, there's only so much you could write in a question. I think the point is that there's a process, there would be a process in place for citizens to get a petition signed by X number of people that is going to go forward to see if someone could be recalled. And I think, again, it's more common sense than, again, if you're wearing the wrong color shirt, that's not
Who is the judge and jury?
You know what? I'd have to go back and look at the specific language because I'm not sure.
But it's in place, right?
But it's not. It's definitely in place. This is this is something that I think was wanted by the ORC, and I think it was discussed amongst the council, but agreed upon with the council. And I think it's just accountability that we're not having egregious offenses occur and no recourse for them.
We got a question. We're trying. What percentage of voter petitions would trigger a recall? Do we know that offhand?
What percentage of voter petitions? Well, there's a percentage of registered voters. And I want to say it was upwards of 15%, but I'm not 100% sure on the actual number. I actually looked into the number today because I did a little thing on WCAT about these questions too, and someone did not get back to me with an answer. But it is substantial. It's not that you're going to get 50 of your friends and sign a petition. There was some crazy talk about 50% of the registered voters, which was just insane when you consider
they don't even vote.
They don't even vote. In a great election, you're going to get 40% of the people to vote.
Yeah.
And that's a hotly contested big election. So it is a significant amount. I will definitely get back to you guys with an actual number.
All right. Question 3, should the charter be amended to include that if there is a dispute between this charter? I actually like this question. If there is a dispute between this charter and council rules, the charter is binding. A yes vote would include in the charter that if there are any conflict between the charter language and the language contained in the town council rules, the language contained in the charter would prevail. A no vote would not affect the charter. I would vote yes on that. I would.
Yeah. And I think the easiest way to explain that is, again, the charter was written by the Charter Commission, right? But it was voted on by the town. So the town voted on the charter. The council rules are voted on by the council. So if there's a rule, like, for example, in the charter, it says that there should be a council meeting the first and third Tuesday of the month. If the council rules said, you know what, we're going to have one meeting on the second Thursday and that's it, then that's not good. It would go, if the same similar word in both, we would go to the charter and say, no, the citizens voted to have 2 meetings a month. So the council can't just change it randomly. The council could change the charter and change it to 1 meeting or change the time or this and that, but the council rules would not supersede what the town has voted on. And I think that's, again, accountability to what the citizens wanted, right? It means that the council can't just run rogue and change what's in the charter. There are changes that can occur, like through the ORC every 5 years, and those changes again would be voted on by the citizens. The council can't just change the rules on their own, and I think that's the important thing with this.
All right. Question 4: should the charter section 7 and 8 be amended to change the time in which the town council may adopt the budget from a 45-day following the date that the proposed budget was received to not less than 15 days prior to the start of the fiscal year? A yes vote would allow the town council and town manager additional time to review the budget for the next fiscal year, while allowing a capital plan with a more sufficient time frame for review. A no vote would not affect the current charter, section 7 and 8.
Yeah, I think this has been a pet peeve of mine for a lot of years, and I'm really happy that it's finally on a ballot, because this is transparency, and this enables us to do things correctly. Because right now it's almost like a smoke and mirror thing, right? Because everybody agrees we kind of want to vote on the budget. We don't want to vote on the final budget until the second week in June, because that gets us as close to the beginning of the fiscal year, which is July 1st, as possible, because there could be a change in Chapter 70 financing, a change in state aid, a change in any number of things that can affect the way we do the budget. So now it says we cannot vote, must be approved within 45 days of receiving the budget. So if we want to vote on it on June 15th, let's say, the second meeting in June, that means we can't receive the budget officially until May 1st. Because if we get it May 1st, we only have 45 days to pass it. If we got it on February 1st, we'd have to vote on the budget by the middle of March. So now, technically, we get we get a budget presentation by the town manager on the first meeting in May. But really, that budget's worked on much sooner than that. To have the finance commission and to give them the time to talk to each department head, to talk to the school department, you need much more time than this. And then it always has seemed to come down to the council gets the budget back, and then, it's a $60-70 million budget, and the council passes it in one night. So it doesn't give us enough time to really go over, and doesn't give the citizens as much time to have an input. So now if this is changed, a yes vote, so now instead of voting within 45 days of receiving the budget, we have to vote on the budget 15 days, no less than 15 days prior to the beginning of the calendar year, the fiscal year. So now we could vote June 15th, but less to get the budget in February, which gives us more time to look it over. It gives the citizens more time to get involved. It gives the school department and the school committee more time to figure out what their number is going to be and how they can best work it. So to me, this is something, again, I've been trying to get approved for over a decade. And I just think it's more of a housekeeping issue, but I think it's extremely important.
Yes.
Let me be the first to say you're welcome. That we helped you getting this done. And just for me, to kind of summarize this, barring question 1, the rest of the stuff is really administrivia, and straight yeses aren't going to change the world all that much for our citizens. So hopefully, at the very least, most people will vote straight yeses on the 2, 3, and 4, so that we can be a more efficient council. And Anyway,
absolutely. I just want to bring up one quick thing. I don't know why this is the way it is. It doesn't make any sense to me. When I look at the race in the term limit, the term of each position, why the council president is 2 years and everybody else is 4 years really makes no sense to me, because 2 years doesn't give a council president enough time to get a ball rolling and then follow through. I think they should be at 4 years along with everybody else, or councilors go for 2 years and the council president 4 years for the consistency. I don't know why this seems ass backwards to me. Where the president is 2 years and everybody else is 4 years. I don't know why that came about, but doesn't make any sense to me. That's
want to take that one, Jim?
Yeah, I'll take it, because I think, this was obviously discussed, and this came out basically what Scott was talking about, right? 2 years and 4 years for the president. I do believe that the main reason for 4 years for a council is it enables us to stagger it, right? If you had 2-year council terms, potentially every councilor, well, not potentially, every councilor is up every 2 years. So potentially you could change over 8 councilors every 2 years. So I do think that is potentially an issue. The 4 years for the president, I look at this 2 ways. Do I want this to be a 4-year term? No, right now.
Well, you're coming up to be reelected for another 2 years.
I do think, if it makes you put in an effort.
Yeah.
It makes you try to get results. You can't rush things, because you just can't rush municipal government as much as I'd like to. You can't.
Right.
But it does give you the impetus to work your butt off, right? Because there's accountability there. And I do think the citizens of Winthrop, if they see an effort and see that you're trying your best, they're not going to agree with everything you do. But if they see you trying your best, and if you're going to run again, more than likely they're going to support you. If you're doing a terrible job, then get the heck out in 2 years and be done. But so I do think, it is hard. I mean, I've seen it, I've done it now, right? So it is difficult to get there. And you basically, especially if you're getting your feet wet. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have 16 years on the council before I became president. So, you go in a little bit with more experience, but to come off the street and to try to be a council president, it's going to take you a while, no matter how seasoned you are and whatever you're doing, to get acclimated, and then to have to run again, basically a year and a half after you start. It's tough. It's a little daunting, but I do think if you're doing a good job and showing the effort, and it does make you do a good job, you could, if you've got a 4-year term, you could kind of ride the wave for a couple of years and then say, oh, I better get started, which stinks too, the ideal term would have been 3 years, but with a city form of government that we have, it has to be on odd numbered years, right? So you can't have a 3-year term. It's got to be 2 or 4. So, or I guess you could do 6, but I don't think anybody wants
No.
But there was discussion on the ORC about making them all at large, changing the composition of the council. Those things didn't get through the council, but I think everything the ORC did had a lot of merit. And, I wouldn't be lying if I said I think a lot of this stuff needs to go to the citizens. Let the citizens decide. But that didn't happen right now. And there are 4 good questions going to the citizens. But, the composition, everything else, we're going on 20 years now with this charter, and there have been very few distinctive changes made to it. So as much of an imperfect document as is every constitution and everything else, it's pretty much stood the test of time pretty well. It would be great to have more participation, and I just don't know.
Things to be worked on. Things to be worked.
There are always things to be worked.
Things to be worked on. That
nothing. Get back to the fire station. There are no perfect projects. There are no perfect constitutions. But I think our United States Constitution and the town charter is pretty damn close. It's very good, and it has stood the test of time. You got to give people the respect they deserve, and work within the rules and try to get things done.
All right. Well, Jim, good luck next week. Good luck.
Well,
All right, gotta go. Bye.
Good luck. We'll
Listen,
be
we
watching
can go
that race
over.
closely. We'll be watching that race
Go
closely.
over.
And Todd, you have anything in closing? We went over your time limit, buddy. So
Yeah, listen, no, this was supposed to be mostly about the questions, you know, and getting people educated or a little bit more educated on the firehouse. I will say, I do have one comment on the fire station. I mean, to Jim's point earlier, everything that needs to be said has been said. There's nothing more any of us can do other than vote.
Yeah.
So we need to get to the polls on Tuesday, November 7th. I am happy that on the ballot my name appears first. That always is a nice.
Yep.
This always is a nice ad.
You won the lottery. You won the coin toss. The coin toss.
The coin toss. Yeah. I also want to just mention again. I put a post out this morning on my Counselor at Large page. I stand out every morning. I want to say to the silent majority that's out there, like I said on my post, I see you, I hear you, the beeps, the waves, the encouragement, the side eyes, all, you know, the coming up to me and telling me we're with you, thank you. We're gonna win this thing.
That's right, buddy.
We're gonna win this thing.
All right.
And just make sure you get out and vote to make sure we win this thing.
Everybody should get out and vote. It's your right. It's your birthright as an American, and as an American citizen that came over and did it the right way. It's your right to vote. Yeah. You earned it. Jim, Todd, gentlemen, thank you very much. Good luck in both your races. I can't.
Jim, thank you for coming on.
Jim, always thank you, Jim. Always thank you for your time.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It's a lot of fun, and it's great to get, you know, accurate information out there. So
yes,
it's a good venue.
And I enjoyed the Italian sub when I was up there, buddy. I went up the beach. I went up the beach. It was a beautiful day, and I had one of Terry's Italian subs that I paid for. People, I paid for it.
By the way, we should thank Jim, right? Jim, that was you that got the was it the Columbus Day flag or the entire Italian heritage flag flying on the cultural center? Was
that you? That
was part of the flag policy. Yes, we did.
There you go. Excellent.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, gentlemen. Excellent. Enjoy the rest of your week. Todd, I'm sure I'll be talking to you. Jim, every once in a while we connect. So good luck with everything. And everybody, thank you for watching. Well, Todd, you got to do your thing.
I do. All politics starts at the local level, and it doesn't get more local than on Tuesday, November 7th. Get out and vote and tell all your friends.
That's right. Vote for Todd Sacco and Jim Lettieri. Like I always say, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you like it, share it. If you didn't, well, thanks for watching for 38 minutes and 7 seconds. No show next week. I don't think. But maybe Todd, it's all up to Todd.
Maybe a live stream from the, maybe a live
stream.
There you
go.
Maybe.
All right.